I'm going to take you on a brief tour, virtual tour if you will, through Egypt. This one's on ancient Egypt. As you can see, the sun and the Ankh coming down, the symbol of sun, light, and life coming down from Aten, from the Aten. And these are some of my sources. Also, our metanetter.com. Those are a few of my sources, pretty much all the picture sources. We go on. We're going to start with symbols from Egypt, as I will take you to this tour. Journey through the mysteries of Egypt, where even in India they talk about the Sohar key and the Sohar schools of masonry, and of course they have regular schools there. And who is this lady? Is it the Mona Lisa? Is it the Statue of Liberty? Actually, this is a painting I got when I typed in Queen Semiramis. Semiramis. As you can see, the resemblance is striking. And we go on. Symbols of masonry. Oh boy. Should I even start? You'll see the Totenkopf on the right side in the middle. Obviously the sun symbols, the triangle, the ladder, the compass, the tree of life, the keys of masonry, the 5-point star pointed upwards, the symbol of the moon with the appropriate amount of stars, 7. We have another triangle over here. And we go on. Also, we have the ark, and the ark on top of the poles, Jachin and Boaz from King Solomon's temple. Notice the symbolism of the magician, if you will. And also, it's important to note the boat on top, the solar boat, comes from Egypt. We go on. As you can see right here, the symbols of the tiers and the symbols of the arcs around them forming a circle. Socrates, 500 years before Christ. As you can see, the Europeans do not resemble the ancient Egyptians in their statues. Now we will start the tour on top with Giza. The Great Pyramids of Giza, they line up with Orion's belt, and you can see the ones in the front have suffered some deterioration. They all have suffered some weathering over time. Again, the pyramids. This is a map. You can see the Pyramid of Khufu, the top right. In the center, the Pyramid of Khafre, and the last pyramid on the bottom left of Menkaure. It's one way they refer to them. And we go on. You know, you have the Western Cemetery, the Eastern Cemetery. You have temples of Khafre. You got temples of the Queen. You got the Temple of the Sphinx. You got the Great Sphinx, which is you see on your way to the pyramids. And we continue. The Sphinx. Rumor has it that Napoleon shot the nose off the Sphinx. Let me go on. Now we will go down one city to Saqqara and the temples therein. The Hanging Pyramid, also known for its steps. This didn't come out that well. I was dreading to turn the clip because I was worried that this might happen, but basically it's a diagram of the purpose of it and the pylons and the next picture. This is some hieroglyphics as well as some pictures of Egyptians inside the temple of Saqqara. Go on. Now we go down to El Armana, where Akhenaten, during the 18th dynasty, moved the capital. It's important to notice that I'm going downward, so we're about at the center, and I passed up a few places. I apologize. I passed up El Fayum, I passed up Hermopolis, and I'm going to pass up Tuna El Geba as well, and Beni Hassan. And so we go to El Amana, and we start with Akhenaten in the form of the Sphinx praying to the sun. We go on to some of the leftover structures inside and some more hieroglyphics. I'm just going to skip through this one pretty quick. And we go down to Abydos. Abydos is pretty much one of the first cities, 3200 BCE. Well, let's show you some stuff here. Here is the temple of Osiris at Abydos. Beautiful temple, beautiful steps. The masonry adopts the symbolism from this in the ancient mysteries. My problem with masonry is they include Egypt as part of the ancient mysteries instead of the source of the ancient mysteries. God, then Egypt, and everyone else. Inside of Abydos, remember, Osiris is the Lord of the dead and the Father of the Trinity. And we go on to the next one, which is Karnak. And Karnak and Luxor are located in Thebes, the ancient city of Thebes. So Karnak, you have the Eastern Temple, you have the courtyard of the Middle Kingdom, and you have about 6 pylons on the map. The first pylon is at the entrance. Okay, so as you pass through it, you get to the temple of Seti II, and then you pass through what is called a Great Hall. Just like in Masonry, you have the Great Hall and the Grand Hall, and certain kinds of masonry are named after that. And you go on. If you look on to, to the upright, there's a sacred lake, and if you go on to the right, you'll get to the 7th pylon all the way to the 10th, and then on through the District of Mud and Avenue of Sphinxes. So if you notice how that is, it's 6 pylons going up, and then another 4 to the right. It's important to notice the purpose of the pylons and the purpose of the temples and the gates, etc. We go on. And the sacred lake, remember all the references to the water in the Bible, and wells, and certain important key characters in the Bible getting thrown into wells, and then getting taken on into Egypt by passing Ishmaelites, etc. Now we go on to Karnak, and the statues and the hieroglyphs and the different statues to the gods you'll find there, and the pillars, and it's beautiful. I don't know what time I'm at, so I'm going to try to breeze through this because I want to read something in the end as well. We go down to, this is more Thebes, Karnak and Luxor area. And here's Luxor, the temple of Luxor in the ancient city of Thebes in that area. And we look on, you're going to see the ram-headed gods, you're going to see Horus, you're going to see Set, you're going to see a lot of these stuff. Now, this is the layout. You have the solar cult court, the Hypostal Hall, the second court, the royal palace outer court. You got the chapel of the royal cult and enclosure walls and sanctuaries within, and first pylons at the entrance. Just like you have the 2 pillars, Jachin and Boaz, outside of King Solomon's temple. We go on. Luxor, beautiful. And we go on to Edfu and the temple of Horus. It's important to note that Armana, back it was 1353, and you get Abydos and Thebes around 3200 BCE. So we go on to Edfu and the temple of Horus, and there's not much pictures, but I really like them, the solar boats and the statues. It's very, personified gods. We go on to Aswan. So now, if you look at the map, we're on the bottom part of the map. We're heading... We're basically in, you know, the Nubian part of town, if you will. It's definitely getting darker. We're talking about black people in the ancient world, but it's definitely getting darker as you go down toward Nubia. And speaking of Nubia, and some of the temples that Nefertiti built in Nubia. And well, first let's touch on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Philae, the bottom one, the last one I'm going to touch on. Beautiful picture, as you can see. This is Pharaoh making offering to the gods. Just like people are making offering to Pharaoh. There's like a Mayat, the divine order. It's an obelisk. This obelisk, I believe, it's either in France or England, I believe, and it was stolen from Philae, I believe. Because there's so many stolen obelisks, you know, in France and in England, etc., and even in America. So this is the layout of Philae. You can't really see it. Temple at Philae. This is the end. Hopefully I didn't go over because I can't see the time. The Indiana Jones series were about the white man going into Egypt and digging up for the truth. And the Masonic implications therein. So basically, I'm going to give you a quick run through of the temples, and from one of my sources. We go Temple of Simbel is in Nubia. You got the Oracle of Amun in the Agami Temple. I'm going to go through about half of these. Temple of Amenhotep III on the west bank of Luxor. You have Aten, the Great Temple of in Amarna. You got the Temple of Bes in Bawiti, Bahariya. You have the Temple of Dendur in New York. Because you can see a lot of these temples were stolen, just like the obelisks. You have on the west bank of Luxor, El Medina, Temple of Hercules in Bahariya. Of course, the Temple of Horus in Edfu, and you have a Temple of Calabasha in Nubia, and of course the Mentuhotep II has a mortuary temple on the west bank of Luxor. Merin Ptah has a mortuary temple in Luxor as well on the west bank. Nekhbet and Dot have temples at El Kab. On the Nile Delta, you have minor temples and other ruins, like the ruins of the Temple of Set. You also have lost temples in Nubia, more temples at Thebes. The temples of Ramses the Fourth is in the Ramessid. You have the Chapel of the White Queen, Chapel of Seti I, the Ptolemaic Temple. Excuse me, I always say the P when I mean not to, because when I'm reading for something or I'm checking my notes to refresh my memory, we go on. I'm just going to touch on, you know, Ramses II has a portal temple at Abydos. Ramses II also has a temple at Minya. Ramses III, West Bank of Luxor temple. And, of course, at Alexandria, you have temples. The Serapean temple, Pompey's pillar in the Sinai. You know, the Satis temple of Aswan, and Senseret III, mortuary temple, and so on. So, as you can see, I've proved my point about some cults are based around temples, some around pharaohs, some around gods, and I've explored that a little bit in this video, and I'm going to end it there. Thank you.